Right, well, this could be a quick episode. Right, well, this could be a quick episode. Well, this could be a quick episode. Right, hello and welcome to the Hobby Breakfast Show. I'm one of the hosts, the Mayor, and I'm joined by Arnor.
Hello, everyone. Why did you start off so weird?
I don't know. Well, don't we always start off weird?
It's true, actually. Yeah.
Today, as you might have noticed, we're going to do a Before You Buy episode with Arnor.
Yeah.
This is something that Arnor has some experience with, having
Do
collected
I?
them but never played them.
Yeah, having painted like 5 models and then got sidetracked by a Hobbit army.
Yeah, but the Hobbits can join, can't they?
Well, this was the thing. The Arnor was meant to be a way to scratch my itch for wanting to paint Hobbits, whilst also being a useful army. But then I ended up just painting an entire Hobbit army off the back of painting those Hobbits for Arnor. So,
Can you even use the Arnor Hobbits with your normal Hobbits, or are they too Arnor-y?
I definitely could.
They're prints, aren't they?
Yeah, I got 3D prints, so the Arnor Hobbits have like the same armor as the Arnor guys. You definitely could, though, couldn't you? I could say, for example, that they're the Turkish hunters.
Yeah, or you could say that they're an Arnor contingent that have come to help, or something.
Yeah, although that would be a little bit timeline mixing.
Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah, but anyway,
I'm sure it's fine.
If I ever need an extra 5 Hobbit archers, then yeah.
Oh, is it only 5? Okay.
I definitely sling them in. Yeah. But anyway, yes, Arnor. It's very exciting. Look, I actually managed to find a picture from
I
Games
don't think
Workshop.
I've ever seen that picture.
I don't know where it's from, but it was official Games Workshop picture, so that was a bit of a...
Pretty cool. Back in the days when they used to have to build their own terrain from foam, it looks like.
Yeah, and we'll be able to use this picture for Angmar as well, so it's a win-win.
Yeah, true. It is a little bit more Arnor dominant though, but yeah.
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah, I'll just cut out the Arnor for the Angmar. Right?
Just blur them out.
Yeah, fuck them. So you will need, along the rules manual.
The rules manual.
You only need Armies Lord of the Rings because Arnor has never been expanded upon and has no legendary legions. And I don't know what they would do with a full redoing of the list at this point.
I don't think they actually need a legion. Like their faction's just really solid.
They're fine, aren't they? Like they have enough rules built into the main characters anyway that they're probably good.
For a Lord of the Rings like faction compared to the Hobbit, they're surprisingly they've stood the test of time. Yeah,
maybe it's just because they don't have that much, so they just kind of get it. Obviously, back in the day, Arnor used to have like Arathorn and Halbarad. The Rangers and Arnor didn't used to be separate factions, so you used to be able to run like a weird army where you had Arvedui, Malbeth, and Arathorn, and I suspect that they were probably better. And I guess you could also take Halbarad with the banner. So they probably used to be amazing.
Interesting, yeah.
If you could get a 6-inch banner with Malbeth. But anyway, that is not what you can do anymore, so let's stop talking about it. Let's move on to the overview, shall we? Playstyle infantry only. It is kind of a horde, but they're also quite elite. But it's kind of the weird mix of Arnor because they have very high stats in like defense and fight comparatively for a faction of men, but then they are very low courage, so you kind of get them as slightly undercosted because of that.
Yeah, I'm surprised by their low courage actually.
Well, it's all about you have to keep the heroes alive, don't you?
Yeah.
If you can keep Arvedui alive, courage is not a problem. If Arvedui dies, they fall apart, which I think is very themey, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Malbeth's got the same courage value, but obviously doesn't have the 12-inch standfast.
Doesn't have this 12-inch test. He isn't giving them automatic passcode test within 6-inch, which is the army bonus, which is why Arvedui is so good.
Right.
But obviously, you want Malbeth because of his special, but we'll get into that. Ease of collection. We've got a medium star here. At the moment, it's technically impossible unless you either are willing to get a 3D print, convert, or pay absolutely extortionate prices. They aren't currently made at all.
What can collectors do? What can they buy Lord of the Rings wise as proxies if they wanted to?
You could buy Gondor, couldn't you? So
yeah,
you could buy a I think a little bit of conversion work, Aragorn or Denethor would make good Arveduis, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I'm not sure who you'd get from Malbeth.
Maybe just like a differently painted Gandalf model, maybe? Gandalf without his
Yeah, if you made him like bald, yeah, I guess.
Without his hat.
I guess that could work.
Yeah, just file his hair down.
Yeah, I guess an Elrond model do the job.
Elrond doesn't have a beard though.
No, but if you're gonna make Gandalf bald, it's probably not a stretch.
Maybe what about I was gonna say Floy the dwarf, but he's quite short, isn't he?
Floy the dwarf's head on a man would be perfect.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, and then obviously if you can still get the Rangers of Arnor, they're still in print, and you can still get Hobbit archers, so you're fine for that. Warriors of Arnor, you could probably get away with Warriors of Gondor painted green.
You could even just use a Gondor army for this.
Yeah,
just proxy them.
It doesn't look quite right though. Like they made the Warriors of Arnor distinct enough that they're annoyingly difficult to proxy.
Yeah.
You either have to fully commit to green stuffing a little band around every helmet, or just accept that they look like Gondor but painted a different colour.
Yeah.
There are very nice 3D prints available for Arnor, which I own a few of. They're very good quality. They do the job very well.
Should you put a link on?
I don't know about putting a link, but I
Google it, people.
They're made by, I think, Medbury. There you go. That's the biggest plug you're getting. They look cool, and they come with accompanying Hobbit archers, which, as we previously discussed, actually look like they belong in an Arnor army, which I think is a big pro.
They do look very cool. We'll put a picture up.
Obviously, there's always the downside if you can't run them at certain events, and some people are a little bit sniffy about 3D prints, but I think increasingly most people are fine, aren't they, with them?
Most tournaments will be fine with them.
Yeah, I think there's a kind of acceptance that eventually 3D prints are going to be the way forward, because at some point
there'll be so many resources out there.
Well, at some point as well, Games Workshop are presumably going to stop supporting the game. Like, probably not anytime soon. I'm not like a doom-monger that thinks it's going to be, soon. But I think that, if you're looking for this game to keep going, like a lot of GW games do when they're not supported, it's through 3D printing now that happens. So, like, War Master and, like, Epic 40k, for example, will both have like really big 3D printing scenes with like really high quality sculpts. Actually, we're massively off topic.
Yeah, this is like a whole other video, really.
Yeah, we'll maybe do that someday. But anyway, difficulty to play, medium to hard. There, I think they're good, but you need to kind of know how far you can push things. Like when your main hero is 2 wounds, 1 fate.
Yeah,
you've got to know when he can do stuff and when he can't, because it's quite important to use him, but also not to let him die. So, I think point sweet spot, low to mid, definitely fair. If you're running them pure, I guess allied, you could argue, but
who are you allying these with?
I think people ally them with Misty Mountains and do okay. Like bring in Eagle. I think that's definitely been done in the GBHL, and we might as well move on to alliances, I think as well you can take them with elves, and I think people have, similar to how Army of Lake Town works quite well with elves, you kind of get the numbers with the spear supporting elves. But obviously, unlike Lake Town, rather than being just a pure horde, you have Malbeth and Arvedui doing their thing.
Right.
So I think people have had success with that. Cost
I quite like the
high.
army bonus though, and you're losing that, aren't you?
Yeah, that's true. We'll get on to that.
Yeah, sorry.
We've mixed up our slides here. Shit.
Oh no.
I might have to edit the order that we've spoken. Cost to collect high, very high. Even with 3D prints, it's high. It's not a cheap army. And competitive viability, we've put loads medium. I think I'm going to have to take out.
I think it's probably medium to high, to be honest.
Because a low point for sure. But
low points. You just see it do well. Low points on the GBHL, don't you?
People win tournaments with that, and people.
I think it's quite a forgiving list, to be honest. Like you've got
you fight for,
you've got high defense. Yeah, like
you've got lots of spear support.
The defense 6, aren't they?
Oh yeah, sorry. The heroes are the captain's defense 7, isn't he?
Yeah, but I mean,
but defense 6.
Fight 4, defense 6 is really, really good, and a lot of armies won't have defense 6, and so your strength 3 doesn't really matter that it's not strength 4.
And obviously, they also have the advantage that they can bring quite a lot of bows. It will be short bows if you want to spam them, but even so,
numbers on the tabletop as well.
You can really kind of max it out. The other thing the Hobbits give, which is have access to a war horn, which then gives you another way to try and mitigate that courage factor. Obviously, also brings your heroes up to courage 6, so that's quite nice.
Yeah.
Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Army bonus. Friendly Arnor models automatically pass courage test within 6 inches of Arvedui, which is really good. It's not better than Bodyguard. As long as someone is within 6 inches of Arvedui, it is strictly better, right?
I would say I would take this over having Bodyguard on most of my army, because he also makes himself auto pass, and he himself has a 12-inch standfast. So it's just really, really nice.
But obviously, if for example you are playing a mission, there are scenarios where you might prefer Bodyguard.
True.
So if you can set up the bubble, and this is where Arnor really thrive, like bubbles and buffs, it is probably better, but situation it might not be. They have no historical alliances, so there's no way for you to take advantage of this whilst allying in others, which I assume is deliberate, because Arnor did historically fight with other people. So from a purely fluff point of view, they probably should have been historical with Rivendell at least. And you might even argue they should be historical with Gondor, as long as Gondor don't take any named heroes.
Right.
So I'm guessing that's a balance thing, because I'm guessing if you could bring Arvedui, Malbeth, loads of Arnor, and then also sling in like an Elrond with Riv Knights, like that's probably,
or even like any even like a cheap elf hero who has magic and then just like some not Fountain Court Guard, the other one. Is it Palace? I don't know. The guys who would fight 6. Just have some random fight 6 guys. It's just so good.
So I'm assuming that's a balance thing, because I think they probably would be a bit too good, because you'd just you'd remove all of their downsides, wouldn't you? You'd be able to bring Cav, you'd be able to bring more powerful heroes, and you'd get the advantage of Malbeth and Arvedui's buffs. So they don't get to bring that, but I think they're still very good allies. We'll get onto that in a second. Convenient with Fangorn, probably, as we discussed with Fangorn, never going to do that, because Fangorn aren't a good ally, especially when you have Misty Mountains. Halls of Thranduil, you possibly would see that. Although Halls of Thranduil probably ally a little bit better with Lake Town for the same purposes. Khazad-dûm, unlikely. I don't really know what the dwarves would give you that you wouldn't already do.
Yeah, I agree.
Lothlorien, I think you might do. Misty Mountains, I think you might do, and Rivendell, I think you might do. I think those last three are the ones where you're like, this actually would make sense.
Yeah, I think you're only doing that at mid to high points, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. You're not gonna. You're always gonna. Always going to tell Malbeth. You're always going to probably spam max warbands, and then you might consider allies. So yeah, cool. Let's move on then to discuss them and discuss why we are waffling on about them so much. Arvedui then, he's got a fairly standard hero of men stat line. 5/5, which you might argue actually is a bit low for a king model, because he's like Aragorn's ancestor, isn't he? Should he be 5/6?
I mean, I feel like they've not got anything else going for them, so it wouldn't have been terrible for him to be 5/6. I mean, a captain is already 5/5, so yeah, it would make sense for him to be 5/6. Just make him like 100 points or something.
I guess Arathorn isn't. So yeah, but strength 4, same as most men captains. Defense 6, he does suffer a little bit because you can't take a shield, which is unfortunate, but not dreadful defense, but not stellar. 3 attacks, which is good. 2 wounds, which isn't great, especially not for your general. Courage 5, good. Might 3, good. Will 2, Fate 1, ooh. And this is kind of where I think Arnor, the difficulty comes in. Like, their heroes are very fragile. He's got a sword, he's got strike, which is good. He's got strength, which I don't know if you would use strength.
Probably not using, although no one else in your army has good strength, so maybe you're using it if you're like trying to burst down a troll or something.
I just feel like you're always going to be saving his fight for strike and defense, personally.
Yeah, true. No one else has strike, so
defense to make sure he doesn't die in a situation so that you don't lose his buffs, and strike so that he can actually challenge a big hero, because he personally can. He has Hatred Angmar. Everyone except for Malbeth has Hatred Angmar. All Rangers of Arnor don't either. And I guess the Hobbit Archers wouldn't either. Wonder why they decided not to give Malbeth Hatred. Anyway. The rule that you care about, though, is the King of the North. Q, we'll have to put in some sort of Game of Thrones meme. He gets a 12-inch standfast, which when you combine with, as we just mentioned, the army bonus, makes him quite good.
Yeah, assuming he can move first and actually use the standfast.
Yeah.
But I guess regardless, he'll at least be saving everyone within 6, if not 12.
Well, no, as you've mentioned, unless it's been FAQ'd, which I don't think has been, it might be, because it's friendly Arnor models automatically pass code test within 6 inches, he will automatically pass.
Yeah, but like, so if your opponent went first and tagged Arvedui,
right, yeah, I see what you mean.
To negate the standfast,
you
wouldn't have 12 inches, but you still have the 6-inch bonus.
6-inch army bonus. So basically, if you can get Arvedui through to the end of the game, he's super useful for keeping your guys going.
At least the ones within 12 inches.
Yeah, but
everyone else is running away.
I think it's unlikely that you would have many people outside of that. I think
maybe
really want to try and keep your army as close as possible to the heroes.
Yeah, I mean, objective games, that's going to be difficult to do, but not impossible.
I think you stick a Hobbit on the objective, don't you? Because they've
got good courage, actually, haven't they?
Hobbits actually, especially if you're bringing, as I say, the Hobbits will actually have courage 4.
Yeah.
So
pretty good.
Or a Ranger is the other good courage option, which conveniently have your bows, so they're actually quite useful for sitting on objectives. So that's Arvedui. He's 80 points, hero valor. So you are basically always taking him if you're running pure Arnor. The other hero who you're always taking is Malbeth the Seer. His stat line is shit. He's fight
That's
3.
not why you take him, is it?
Strength 3, defense 4. Defense 4. He probably is actually quite easy to snipe, isn't he? Wounds 2, courage 5, 1 might, 2 will, 1 fate. His only war gear is the staff, but he's not a magic user, so it's not that useful. He's got heroic resolve, which I guess is your only real magic defense, so potentially useful. 70 points. Like at this point, you're thinking, Jesus Christ, what a waste of points. But then the best rule in the game.
Yeah, potentially.
Every time a friendly Arnor model 6 inches of Malbeth suffers a wound, roll a d6. On a 5, the wound has been prevented, exactly as if a point of fate has been expended. Note that if this roll is failed, hero models may still use fate points as normal.
Basically, the old Fury.
It is the old Fury, but you don't have to roll to cast it. And as long as Malbeth hasn't been put under any kind of magic, it's just automatically there because it is an active, it's not a passive rule.
Yeah.
So you ironically against Angmar, they're actually not very good. Which again, I guess, kind of is fluffy.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Although they do get hatred, so I guess that kind of mitigates it. I guess you just play very different against Angmar. You just run everyone in and just try and kill the orcs, whilst against everyone else you bubble up. But anyway,
I mean, it doesn't say you have to be in line of sight of Malbeth to use this. So you can just hide him behind a wall, and then your opponent can't do anything to him, and then you just have your guys wrap round.
That's very true, provided the scenery is in the right place. But
you could do stuff, but
he's super good.
Yeah, because if he was in any other army, you'd always be taking him.
Oh yeah, for sure. If he was in any other army, that'd be broken. Like you'd never not bring him. Like the only reason why he's like justifiably not broken is because he's stuck in this list.
Yeah, like they haven't got anything.
Imagine him in Minas Tirith.
Oh my god! Defense 7 warriors everywhere
with shield wall and then a 5-up, and then you could take that guy that prevents them from falling back after losing a fight, and they'd just be fucking.
Oh my god!
But he isn't, thankfully, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's probably why they didn't ally.
And even if you ally him, it's only friendly Arnor models. So they fixed that issue as well. So you can't.
Oh yes, very smart.
You can't impossible ally break the game, because that probably would be worth losing any army bonus to get that if it worked. But anyway, Captain of Arnor, your standard captain, I guess, except he has lower courage, which is kind of Arnor's thing. Fight 5, strength 4, defense 7, attacks 2, wounds 2, courage 3, might 2, will 1, fate 1.
Yep. D7 is good, march is good.
He has march like a regular captain. Bow, I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever swapping it for a bow.
For a 4-up shoot, I don't think you ever do.
I guess because heroes don't count towards bow limit, you could eke in some extra bows, and also it means you can put some might on them. So if you were trying to snipe someone or snipe a mount, then you'd be more likely to be able to achieve that. So maybe if you're taking pure Arnor at really high points levels, you could put a couple of captains with bow in, because you're probably going to have like 4 or 5 captains at that point.
If you were taking them at really high points, maybe. But I think most of the time you're just thinking, I'm bringing a load of hobbits, so I'm probably okay.
Yeah.
Just way of numbers is probably enough. Even at
D7's nice.
At high points levels, you could even argue you'd be able to spam ranges of Arnor. But yeah, he's fine. Again, low courage, so he's not going to be any good for stand fast. No. But arguably, you're not really using him for that. So
yeah, and I guess what you could do is you could use. You could put your captains on the edge of either the 6-inch or 12-inch range from Arvedui, and because they'll auto pass their. Oh no, it would have to be 6 inches.
But then if Arvedui has 12-inch standfast, that would only be useful if Arvedui's tagged.
Yes, but it would mean that your range is always extended to 12, which is nice, I guess.
Yeah.
So they'd be useful for that, if nothing else.
So yeah,
courage anyway.
That's him. I don't really think there's much more to say about him.
Cool model.
It's a cool model. I guess you probably mid to high points levels want to bring a couple just because with Fight 5 and Strength 4 they're probably going to be.
And you'll probably have to for warband size.
True, but they're also probably going to be killing troops quite reliably in the army, so you probably want to bring them for that. We then get to warriors, so you have the Warrior of Arnor, 8 points, which is a steal. Like I think OT did like a points calculation on them, which I'm sure is nothing new to people that have played Middle-earth before. But these guys are ridiculously cheap for what you get. So they're Fight 4, Strength 3, D6, which is pretty good, and they come with a spear built in and a shield
and a sword.
So you
can feint and all that.
Have the option to do that as well. Obviously, Courage 2, which is why they're so cheap. They get the H Dangmar though. You can bring a banner. It's really annoying, but you have to drop the shield and the spear to bring the banner.
Oh yeah, that is weird.
Sucks.
That is very weird. I mean, it's still worth it. You still need banners, but
it's
weird.
You should 100% still bring a banner, but it really sucks when they have these rules that you have to drop stuff because I think they need to standardize. Actually, like
it's just because the model they have, I reckon.
I get it's because the model they have, but that banner, the banner that they don't sell but you could buy, definitely has a spear tip.
Yeah, it does.
Like they should standardize it. Like either everyone has to drop their war gear to carry a banner, or no one does. It just seems very arbitrary that like an Uruk-hai can still bring their pike, but Arnor can't have a spear. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Why are you picking on the Uruk-hai?
Because much like OT, OT's not here, so I've got to make sure that.
You're going to carry the flame.
His Uruk hatred has continued in his absence.
We should make profiles for ourselves, and he can have hatred Uruk-hai.
Yes, he definitely would. He'd also have some maths boring rule.
Yeah, you throw maths questions at your opponent, and if they don't answer them correctly, then you get rerolls or something.
He should have Floyd's rule, but it's more niche and specific and pointless.
I like that idea. What could it be? Oh, you have to do maths to do it. So it's like you pick an enemy unit and you take the square root of their movement and you take it away from their courage or something.
Nice.
It's perfect. For a number of turns equal to the strength value. No, the defense value divided by the strength value. That makes sense.
Look at this. I don't even know what that means, but yes. He should have a rule which involves a very complicated maths equation, which eventually resolves in nothing happening. That would be perfect.
Nothing happens every time, but you have to do maths to work it out.
Yeah, nothing happens every time, but there's like a 1 in a million chance that something does happen, so it forces you to always work it out just in case.
You have to roll a D1000.
A D1000, Christ. Where were we? Oh yes, Ranger of Arnor. They're nice because they're Fight 4. They're nice because they're 3+2. 8 points again. Although they're almost always going to be 9 because I think you always take the spear on them. To be honest.
Definitely.
D4 not great. Attacks 1, win 1. Courage 3, which is actually really nice in this army. They're kind of almost, you might argue, worth it. Just
why are they more courage? I don't understand.
I think, but I could be wrong.
They're just braver because they're more. I don't know. They're not exactly on the front line.
I think it's because it's the same stat line as Earth, and that it's just they have to have a standard range as stat line. But then, having said that, the Fiefdoms ranges are lower courage, aren't they? Yeah, because Blackroot Vale archers are lower fight and lower courage.
Yeah.
What are Minas Tirith rangers?
The description.
It's the exact same as a Minas Tirith ranger in terms of stats.
That'll be why then.
But then the Blackroot Vale archer, they did change it for that.
But they're called something. Oh well, this is called a Ranger of Arnor. So
I
a Ranger of Gondor or something, I imagine. Because the description for Warrior of Arnor is the warriors that remain as part of Arnor's armies are, by necessity, the veterans of many wars against the dark forces of Angmar. You'd think they'd be a bit more courageous after that.
Yeah, but then I think the point in them, like their courage, their will is shattered, and that they're a defeated kingdom, isn't it?
Literally the next line is, though their resolve lies in pieces and their spirits are often shattered. Yeah. Their combat
but then it's weird that the Rangers don't have that, isn't it? It's also weird that they didn't bother putting the Hatred Angmar Rangers.
Yeah, I think it is because they just had to copy the profile. Because is it the same model? Is it the same models?
They're the same models. The Rangers of used for Gondor, Arnor, Blackroot Vale, and then
all the same.
Obviously everyone proxies them for Dunedain as well because those models aren't available. So like my grey company use this kit. It's a nice kit.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
I assume it's just because it's copy pasted. Tirith didn't
even bother.
Do you think it's because they didn't want to reduce their points? So they were like, we'll keep them at code 3, so it justifies them being 8 points. Because if you reduce them to 7 points, would that make the Hobbit archers redundant?
I mean, Hobbit archers are 4 points, right?
They're 5 points.
Oh, okay.
So if these were 7, would you ever take a Hobbit archer?
Probably not. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm just looking at their stat line and thinking maybe there's something else you could take away from them, like make them courage 2 and do something else somewhere else.
Yeah,
but there isn't really anything. So yeah, I guess they just had to keep it the same.
But yeah, they're good. I think in Arnor player, from what I've read and seen, you either go down the route. You don't take hobbits and you take as many rangers as possible with spear because they can fight with the warriors of Arnor, and they're no worse fight value wise, and they still got the spear.
Yeah.
Or you go down the route of spamming as many hobbits, maximize bow counts, and you then can take more warriors of Arnor, so you don't necessarily mind that you don't have the rangers with spear. I guess some people run a mix, but I don't know if that is as common. But from what I've seen, like that seems to be the two schools of thought. It's like you maximize and have a few more points left over to shove a couple more warriors of Arnor in, or you take rangers of Arnor and don't spam as many bows. So yeah, Hobbit archers then, 5 points, fight 2, 3 up shoot, strength 2, defense 3, attacks 1, wounds 1, courage 3, dagger and short bow. They are resistant to magic, which is not useful. They have throw stones, which you never use. Bow.
I suppose the other difference is they've got a short bow rather than a bow, haven't they?
Yeah, so 18-inch range. So that's annoying, and obviously 4-inch move, 2-inch with shoot rather than 3-inch.
Yeah, I think you're always taking the rangers, aren't you?
Well, I don't know. I think there's a place for hobbits. I think that they provide an interesting enough choice that there's a discussion, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because especially if you consider, if you're taking the Rangers of Arnor, you're buying the spear, right?
Yeah. So 9 points.
At which point they're almost double.
Yeah.
So if you took 5 Rangers of Arnor, that's the equivalent of 9 Hobbit archers.
Yeah, I think a mix is maybe the way to go then.
A mix, maybe.
I think out the front line while also having numbers.
I think at like mid to high points levels, prefer Rangers. You always take 1 Hobbit archer to put a Warhorn on.
Potentially, but at low points.
At low points, I don't think you would because I think it's too expensive.
Yeah, okay.
But I think once you start getting up there, you're like, you might as well get +1 courage on everyone, and then that just makes them even more, kind of mitigates their weakness even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So that is all of the units. In-game pros and cons. I think it's fairly self-explanatory, isn't it? What their pros are. Like, there's only
good buffing heroes. Large amounts of warriors, yeah, so numbers. Ways to mitigate the low courage. Yes, I feel like your opponent could have some tools to get rid of that, where if they just kill your heroes who aren't very survivable, then that could be an issue.
It can be counter, can't it? I feel like there's only really one way to play on it. It's you
bog down your opponent with dudes.
You create a big shield wall. You use your heroes to buff them, and you try and use your might points for the things that matter the most in that particular scenario. Yeah. And then you just rely on your 5-up saves and your fight 4 with spears overwhelming the enemy.
Yeah. I mean, it almost plays a little bit like Goblin Town. You're way more survivable.
Yeah, but then you have half the number. So,
yeah.
Cons: low mobility, no cav. It's a bit of an issue. You do have March on the captains, so might not be too much of a problem. And you're probably going to have the points to bring the captains as long as you're not really low. No big heroes. And there's really no way of killing enemy heroes and monsters, is there? And unless
you're hoping your bows can do
something. Exactly. You've either got to shoot all your arrows into them, but then I feel like that's a waste because you probably are better off picking off warriors and trying to break your opponent. So yeah, low courage it is. And presumably they're paying for the Hatred Angmar somewhere in those points.
I feel like they might not be, to be honest. But I mean, like you said, they could have given it to the Ranger. But if they felt that would tip it over the points level, they obviously haven't. But I don't see why that would be the case.
Either way, it's a essentially useless rule, which presumably they have at least factored somewhat into something. But yeah, it's not that useful. I personally think they're really bad against magic. I might be wrong, but I think that they kind of scream evil armies with Nazgul will completely shut them down.
Just Black Dart Malbeth and then or transfix him.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, at that point, you're just going to try and break them and make them run away, I guess. But Arnor doesn't have the most reliable army, so I don't know how that would end up because they're killing on 6s, whereas Arnor are killing on 5s. And Arnor have better fight value. So
that's true.
You're probably winning as Arnor, and therefore not really caring that your heroes are dying, maybe. And you know, if you're playing it super cheesy, you could just literally hide your heroes behind stuff, like in a building, or like I was saying earlier, just have the range extend beyond the building of the buffing things.
I think they're definitely fine against Angmar. I'd wonder if, for example, if they're up against Saruman and Uruk-hai. I think
that would be tougher.
Or if they were up against Morannon Orcs and Nazgul in a Mordor list where they don't get their hatred.
Yeah, I think Uruk-hai especially would be a bad matchup because
they'd fight 4.
But the strength 3 versus strength 4 is such a big swing.
Yeah, and also the courage Diurkai would really outlast them when it came down to breaking point.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they would just outgrind them, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and then I said no historical allies just because I think if they did have them, they'd be superb. I think if you could get a historical ally in with Arnor, you'd really, even at high points, say that they're really good, not just at low medium. But yeah, collecting pros and cons. I mean, the obvious con is that you can't get them.
Yeah, that is a slight issue.
It's a big issue. They're also all metal except for the Rangers, so they're very expensive. I wonder how much they are on eBay right now.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as well. They're quite nice models. I'm not thinking of getting them, but I'm curious.
The first Arvedui that pops up for sale is 150 quid. It is painted.
Fucking hell.
Hang on, let's have a look at
the history.
The history.
Found one that's unpaid for 100.
Shit. Surely no one sells that, right?
Surely not. I guess on eBay, if there's only one person selling it.
26th of July, Arvedui and Malbeth went for £29.
£29 was that?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
On the 23rd, they went for 50 though.
I suppose because they're so scarce,
25.43. So it looks like on a good day, you could pick them up for about 15 quid each, but on a bad day, you're paying 20 to 25 each. So
yeah, on a really bad day, you're paying £150.
I don't think anyone's buying that though, are they?
No, I don't think so.
Let's have a look at Warriors of Arnor and see if they're any better. Someone bought a captain, banner, 5 warriors, and Malbeth painted for 125 quid.
Jesus, considering it's a horde army, that's pretty bad.
They're not competition level painted either. Someone bought a captain, banner, and 3 warriors for £110 unpainted.
Is Arathorn not? Why can't you take Arathorn in this anymore? Can you even take Arathorn in an army?
Because now they've taken the Ranger. They've separated out War of the Ring era Northern men from the historical Northern men. Because Arnor is hundreds of years earlier, basically.
Makes sense.
So obviously, from the new edition is very much focused. It never allows you to run heroes that are not from the same time period together, if it can help it.
Yeah.
So that's where it is from. Yeah. So possibly the most expensive army you could try and if you want Games Workshop models.
Yeah, it probably is. More than the fucking Woses, maybe.
I mean, at least Woses. Woses, I think, have been available more recently, and I think people tend to sell lots of Woses together. I think when OT was looking them up, it was you could buy 12 Woses for 120. So you might have to buy more of them, but they're slightly cheaper per model. And Woses you can ally with lots of people, which makes it more convenient, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're also shitter, but yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I think a lot of people run Arnor proxies, to be honest. I think they're probably the most popular proxied army, because I think even before they went out of production, I think people were fond of taking Minas Tirith models and green stuffing them.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So we move on to some example lists. These are lists which I've hypothetically created, but have never run.
It's only one list, really.
Yeah, we'll just look at the 500 because the 550 is rubbish. I don't know if this is good. I wanted hobbits, so I went down the school of take lots of hobbits. You still get over 20 warriors. You get Arvedui and Malbeth. You get a captain. You get a banner. You get a warhorn, and you're still going to be able to hit off 9 hobbit shots at 500 points. And I think that's kind of where Arnor's strength lies. Like, I think you can just try and overwhelm your opponent.
Yeah, I like the list, honestly. I think, obviously, you could have not taken the hobbits or the warhorn and maybe got some extra guys.
Sure.
Potentially.
Yeah, you definitely could. And I think at 500 you might argue that the warhorn's unnecessary, and you could remove that and upgrade some of those hobbits to rangers, which is probably more competitive. But I think this gives you a good idea of what you can potentially do. Like, you're bringing a mid-range hero, you're bringing an incredible buffing hero, you're bringing as many fight-for troops as any other army could run at 500 points, and you've still got 9 shots a turn, which is kind of, for most armies about the highest range of what they could look for at 500 points as well. So you can kind of do some stuff, I guess.
Is this similar to any list that's won GBHL event?
No, I imagine, and we might throw one up, but I imagine that they run Rangers, to be honest.
Okay.
I doubt that the competitive ones run. Let's have a look at a winning Arnor. I doubt that they run. I doubt they run hobbits. I don't think that they're quite as versatile as Rangers with Spear. I'm not sure, actually, I think one of the other main downsides of stops them from being competitive is I don't think they will benefit from Malbeth's rule. Because it's friendly Arnor models, and the Hobbit won't have the Arnor.
Yeah, if you were doing competitive, I think you definitely don't take Hobbits.
So Arnor have this year won a GBH 100 pure, so let's have a look for that list.
Sure, that must have been like 500 points, I imagine.
Let's see if we can find it. Control F. Arnor. Unfortunately, because Elendil and Gulliver have Arnor in their profiles. The Control F is finding all of them too. Hang on, we'll keep going. Here we go. Oh, wow, they won 700 points.
Wow.
It was a split. You bring a good and evil army.
Right. So but they still would have had to win with Arnor.
They still had to. So the list was 700 points. Arvedui, 14 warriors of Arnor and 1 with a banner. Malbeth with 6 warriors of Arnor and 5 rangers of Arnor with spear. Captain with 5 warriors, 5 rangers with spear. Captain with 6 warriors, 4 rangers of Arnor, and one Hobbit archer with warhorn. So yeah, it's just the warhorn for the +1 courage, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that sounds pretty good.
700 points, you're getting 20, 25, 31 warriors. No, 32 warriors. You're getting 12 rangers with spear and 2 not, and then the Hobbit with warhorn. You're getting a banner. You're getting 2 captains, Malbeth, Arvedui. 700 points is a lot of models, and a lot of them are going to be getting 5-up saves.
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty strong to me.
It's pretty brutal, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think basically, as long as the event pack has the right scenarios, Arnor is competitive.
Yeah, it's just a really nice selection, and it's really simple as well. Like, it doesn't take much to play it. I don't think.
If you want to
play it really well, it would.
If you want to hear what an allied Arnor army looks like. GBHL 90, 750 points. First place, Lothlorien Arnor. They took Galadriel. They took 3 Galadriel warriors with shield and spear, 3 with elf, bow and spear, 1 with banner, 2 guard of the Galadriel court, and a wood elf sentinel. They then took Arvedui with 10 warriors, Malbeth with 4 warriors, 4 rangers with spear, a captain with 4 warriors, 5 rangers with Arnor's spear, and then 1 hobbit archer with warhorn. So they got Galadriel with a elven shield wall.
Yeah.
Well, I guess because they took guards, they got some pikes as well. And then they spammed, like, what, almost 30 Arnor at Fight 4 as well.
So it's like what I was saying earlier, just having some of the Fight 6 guys, the Fountain Court Guard. No, that's the Gondor. Guard of the Galadriel Court, that's it, right? They're Fight 6, I'm pretty sure. So just spreading them out. And because you can put them behind a spear, you've got 3 attacks with a banner reroll probably, so 4 attacks on like every row. Or all the rows with those pikes in anyway.
Yeah. It looks like that player has also come third in a GBHL 90 with like exactly the same list as well.
Well, maybe they're just really good with it. Who knows?
Perhaps, but I think it shows that it can be done, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Very nice. Well, I expect to see a full picture of your army at the end of this.
All 5 hobbits that are painted.
Yeah. Have you not painted any of the warriors?
No, they're ready. I've base coated them and then dry brushed the white on, ready for their slap chop. But
nice.
I then got sidetracked by all of the other stuff that I'm painting.
All of the other many things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to this episode.
I think we talked about Arnor in excessive length.
I mean, yeah, I thought this episode was going to be like half an hour.
I think much like the Fangorn episode, we probably spent too long waffling.
That's what the people are here for.
It is. This is definitely why OT wasn't here, though.
Because it was all waffle and all like normal.
OT only wants to waffle about stuff that he wants to waffle about.
Yeah. I mean, Arnor, I'm surprised we managed to drag this out to almost an hour.
I think it's because Arnor's actually surprisingly interesting.
It is interesting, but it is simple.
But I think that's kind of what makes it good. I think it's kind of like you're going with Arnor. You're going in with a very clear plan. Everyone knows what you're going to do.
Yeah,
and it's just, can you stop it?
But you also can't collect it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I like that we've done it before you buy, and basically this episode will have like.
The conclusion is you can't buy it.
Yeah. The conclusion is you can't buy it. So what I'm imagining is everyone clicking this video being like, "Oh yeah, Arnor, that could be cool. I'll buy that. Maybe this will be the video for me where I find out what I need to do to buy it." You need to be rich as fuck to buy this. Or
Arnor might be prime though for like a redoing in gold resin, but then that would be equally expensive.
Yeah, maybe they'll just re-release the models.
Metal models. With
Are they metal? Are the troops metal?
Stuff. Yeah, they're all metal.
Oh,
everything is metal. That's why it's expensive.
Yeah. I mean, even if they re-release it, it'll be expensive.
If you need like 25 warriors just to run like a mid-points level army, even at Games Workshop prices, like let's say they got priced the same as the Royal Guards, because that's how much they would go for, right? £11 for 3.
Well,
three.
The old blister packs of like Uruk-hai crossbowmen used to be metal. You get four in there, and I think it was like 12.
Yeah, but they're flying cast now, right?
Yeah, they are now.
Osgiliath veterans, 3 metal models for £11. Like I think 3 for 11 is standard, right?
Yeah, it sounds right.
So you need 25.
Fucking hell.
So realistically, you're going to have to. Well, let's be generous and say that you're putting a banner on one, so you only need 24.
Okay.
So you are going to be spending £88.
How many?
for 24.
Jesus.
I mean, it's not as expensive as a Forge World army.
No, but it's not good.
But then again, a Forge World army is available. You could actually buy it. So
are they ever? I mean, they must have just lost the tool for these. I would have thought.
No, it's because they rotate them out, don't they?
Yeah, but it must have been forever since they did these.
Do you think they've? Let's see if they've Arnor made to order.
I'd be surprised if they were in a made to order.
Yeah, I can't see that they've ever been in one.
Yeah.
SBG Arnor made to order. No, you can't see it.
Lost the tool, I reckon.
No, they can't have done. They fucking pull the fucking molds for like models from the 90s out there after. Okay, there's no way that they misplace them. Like they might be like buried in a warehouse somewhere, but they'll still have them.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It's just presumably there's not enough interest. I think they're probably just too niche, aren't they?
Yeah,
a Horde army that's all metal, very expensive to buy, and whilst reasonably competitive, is not like game breaking. Like
I guess because there are like good alternatives out there. Like even if these were available and they were like okay costed, people still might prefer to get Gondor troops and to put some green stuff around their heads.
Yeah, that's probably the way to do it if you're confident doing that. I mean, if you're good at green stuff, like you could probably make the Gondor troops look pretty good.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you just need to put the band around their heads. You would want to scratch off the little trees, I guess, from like the chest plate, and then once you've done that, they're basically the same. You would frustratingly have to buy a load of archers that you don't need, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But even so, it's swordsman a little bit easier because you just get the spear, wouldn't you?
Yeah, true.
I guess. But even so, that'd be way cheaper because you'd still be getting 16 for 30 quid. That's so much cheaper.
Definitely. And
the ranges are still very cheap to buy, so that helps mitigate the cost a bit. There you go. Arnold, before you buy, don't buy it because you can't. And if you want 3D prints, go for it. They're quite good. But yeah, that was an episode as always.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
And thanks, OT. Oh, thanks, guys.
I'm so glad I was here.
I really enjoyed listening to that.